Okay, greetings everyone. I hope my audio is coming through and I hope that this is recording and I don't have to do this another 2 times like I did last week. So tonight we have a very short demonstration. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen here. All right, so tonight we're going to talk about converting an image to black and white. And there's a couple of different methods. Well, there's actually more than a couple different methods in Photoshop. You know, there's 100 ways of doing everything in Photoshop. But I'm going to share some methods that I think are the best methods. Before I do anything here, this is a retouching job that I will be showing you guys a little bit later when we get to that point. But for right now, I'm going to hold down Shift Option Command so that I can copy all of these layers onto one layer. I'll do this. Instead, what I'll do is I'll just flatten the layer. So I'll come over here to Layer, Flatten Image. And I'm going to save this just in case. Okay, so you know that if you want to make an image black and white, we can come over here into Hue and Saturation. This is one way we can do it. And we can just take the saturation out. Excuse me 1 second here. I need to bring this zoom up. Okay, so another way we can do it, and actually a better way of doing it, would be to use the black and white filter, and that we can create an adjustment layer here, black and white. What's good about this filter is that you just have more control over it. So what it does is it divides up everything into the individual channels, and you have control over not just making it monochrome, but you have control over what channels become bright or dark. So this is kind of similar to, I'm sure many of you don't know what I'm talking about, but in the days of film where on your camera you could shoot black and white, and you could put a filter, a colored filter over it, and it would have this effect. So for example, if I put a green filter over this, this is kind of how it would look. It would take out the red and the yellow, and it would just add a little bit more. Well, there's not a whole lot of green in this image, so unfortunately that's not a great example. But if I put a red filter on, it's going to add a lot of contrast. That's the effect that filters would have, and this is what they're trying to simulate here with this black and white filter. So I can achieve a lot of different looks. So if, for example, he has like green eyes, which he does not, I could pump up the green. If I want to darken his skin color, I can pull down the yellow, and there's a lot of skin tones in the red channel also. Let's see if there's anything in the cyan. His shirt is cyan. His jacket is blue. If I want to brighten up the jacket, I could do that. And I don't think there's anything. Oh, his lips are more magenta here. So if I want to darken his lips, I can do that. Make it look like he's got makeup on, or I can brighten them. So you see how this works here. This is great for if you're doing like portraits, for example, of black and white portrait of someone who has like really bright green eyes, or bright blue eyes, you can just pump up the blue channel here and it will make them very bright. So you see that you have a lot of control over this, which, by the way, as an aside, this is only possible because I'm working with a color image. And I know that a lot of you have DSLRs and you take photographs with your iPhone. and you have the capability to take a photograph that's black and white in the camera. And you never want to do that. You never, ever want to do that, because essentially what you're doing is you're just recording to one channel, and you are recording only just a portion of the information. If I was to take this image in black and white in the camera and come into Photoshop and do this, I wouldn't have any of these controls here. Okay, so whenever in doubt, always take, even if the end result is going to be a black and white image for a client, always photograph in color. If you do, then you have all of these capabilities after the fact for achieving all of these different kinds of looks. You can see here I'm darkening the skin, but I'm really brightening the eyes here. And you can achieve some really crazy looks with this. So that's the black and white filter. Probably the least effective method would be to, and I know I had you guys do this in the first project, but I did that for a reason, but would be to convert this to a grayscale image. You just never want to do that. Essentially, you're taking this image that has 3 channels of color, and you're reducing it down to 1 channel of color. You're just throwing away a ton of image information when you do that, when you convert to grayscale. That's why, part of the reason why you get all these warning signs. It's a pretty major operation. You're throwing a lot out when you do that. So we can do hue and saturation. We can desaturate. We can convert it to grayscale. So like I said, I think the most effective way of doing it would be to use this photo filter. Another way you could do this is, let me see, if you create a hue and saturation, you can do it this way, but I don't recommend it because this will give you more of a duotone. Okay, so that is converting a color image to black and white. So let's go back to this this image here. So this week is all about masks, and let's talk about an alpha channel. What an alpha channel is. We know that images that are 8 bits are divided up into 3 channels. We've got red, we've got green, we've got blue. And we know that if we add an additional channel, that's called an alpha channel, and that's a channel that that contains transparency information. So a lot of students confuse this because we do have we have masks in Photoshop where you guys know this, where you can fill the mask in with black or white, and you can paint in back end portions of the image. Well, technically that is a mask, but it's not an alpha channel, and that's something that students confuse. If I was to bring this out of Photoshop, it would not, depending on what program I brought it into, it might not hold on to this transparency information. The way of doing that is via an alpha channel. So let me show you how this works. First, we're going to copy our layer, and we're going to make a selection. And because this is blue and the color is has a lot of contrast against the background, I'm first going to try to do a color range selection. And I'll come up here. I can see that this is going to give me some problems here. If I select the cup here and I hold down Shift and I just keep adding colors of the cup, and you can see, yeah, that's what I thought it would. It's going to incorporate some of the table there. Let me see if I can get rid of some of that. It's got rid of some of it. So for this particular object, I'm trying to isolate this object and just create an alpha channel. So what I might do is I'll use, let's see, fuzziness to bring that down. This is a good starting point. If I click OK, I can come back here, create a layer mask, and fill that in. So if I look at the mask, I'd want to paint with white. And then I'll just fill this whole thing in here. So, you know, this is one way of doing it. I think, though, the most effective way, let's try another method, because I think this is going to give us some problems when we try to add an alpha channel here. So instead, what we're going to do, we'll create another layer here, and I'll just use something like subject select. Let me see. Or object selection tool. Let's see how that works. Probably pretty good. There's a lot of contrast here for Photoshop to work with, so I would imagine that it's going to create a decent selection. This tool does take a long time. Looks great, perfect. That's exactly what I want. So I have the object selected. In order to create an alpha channel, I come over here into channels. Oops. And you'll notice that the channels are divided into RGB, which is the composite of everything red, green, and blue. And if I come down here and I add an additional channel, it will create that alpha channel. Oops, come back in here. There we go. So there's the alpha channel. It kind of looks like a layer mask, doesn't it? So when I have the alpha channel selected, you can see the part there that is going to be protected. So let's come back into here and we'll get rid of this background layer. I still have my alpha channel. And now when I save this file, it's going to save that alpha channel. So we'll go ahead and title this. And when you save this, you definitely want to save the alpha channels. I don't necessarily need to save the layers, but I do need to save the alpha channels. So I'll go ahead and click OK. And now, because it has an alpha channel attached to it, I can bring it into another software. Of course, all the Adobe products are going to work. So if I'm going to bring it into Adobe Premiere here. And let's see if I can find that. I'll select alpha, click import. I'm going to merge the layers, click OK. And then I will come over here and drag it onto my timeline. And you can see that I don't know if you can see the screen here, but it has added the transparency there. Let me come back here and make one more adjustment here. I'm going to save this image again. And I'll deselect. I have my alpha channel there. I'll try this one more time. Save as. Do jump to. And click OK. Then I'll bring it back into Adobe Premiere. And I'll click import. And select chunk 2. And we'll do merge. We'll do individual layers on this one. Okay, so now when I come back in here into Premiere, and drag it, what we have is just the coffee cup there. So unfortunately, I can't share this part of my screen because I've got Zoom running and recording, and but just know that what shows up, what carries over, is only this right here, is only the cup. So that transparency stays with the image when I create an alpha channel. Okay, so alpha channels are not layer masks. Layer masks will key out, create transparency for a particular layer, but an alpha channel has an impact over the entire image. Okay, so that is, if you want to create transparency for the entire image, not just a layer, then you want to create an alpha channel. Okay, so that is a very short lecture explanation for tonight. If you guys have any questions at all, let me know regarding this week and layer masks, and also our next assignment project, which is project 3, which is a serial box design, package design project. So that's all I got for you guys tonight. If you have any questions, let me know. And hope you guys have a good rest of your week. All right, take care.